let's just clear the record here. NATO invaded Russia using Ukraine as a proxy. Let me just say it one more time so you understand the gravity of what I'm saying. NATO invaded Russia, the heartland of Russia, Kursk. NATO invaded. Has it sunk in yet what I just said? That's a game-changing event, Ema. Forget anything you thought about this before. It's over. It's done. Ukraine is dead. That's the only outcome now. Ukraine is dead. Now the question is, does the West want to die alongside it? NATO invaded Russia. So this is going to bring about a terrible Russian response. It's the end of Zelensky's regime. It will not be allowed to exist. It's the end of Ukraine. Dmitry Medvedev hinted at what the consequences will be. Odessa, Dnipropetrovsk, Mykolaiv, Kharkov, and now Sumy. See, Sumy wasn't on that map anymore, but now it is. It appears that Ukraine has been preparing for this together with their NATO masters for a long time. This operation was months, if not years, in the planning. This operation uses the Russians, are capturing equipment and evaluating equipment. They're looking at things. This is a NATO army. What I mean by that is they're using NATO weapons, but more importantly, they're using NATO tactics. And I'm not talking about just, small unit tactics, etc. The next phase of warfare, where each piece of military equipment, each soldier is linked collectively into some sort of singularity of information resources that can be communicated to a remote command post that has total situational awareness and is able to direct things. They have intelligence beamed in on this, and real time, they're able to predict Russian movements and anticipate Russian movements. They're deploying new generations of drones, including some high-speed drones that are being used. This isn't a limited incursion. This is an effort to defeat Russia on the battlefield, to capture a significant part of Russia, to disrupt significant parts of the Russian economy. I mean, two of the objectives are this oil transfer station and the Kursk nuclear power plant. These are objectives to be disrupted, damaged, destroyed by the Ukrainian invader, but they're supposed to hold on to this territory, not give it back. This is a Western army that went in. This is a NATO army that went in, fighting the next generation war that NATO, all NATO troops are being trained upon. The irony is that apparently only the Ukrainians know how to do it now. This is a totally different approach than it was taken in the summer of 2023 when the Ukrainians launched their big counteroffensive that failed dramatically against Russian defenses. Look, they've got the M1 tanks. They've got the Leopards. They've got the Bradleys. They've got the Strykers. They've got the Martyrs. They've got the Caesar artillery, M777. They got the HIMARS. It's all there, all integrated using Starlink and other communications capabilities that are managed by Americans and NATO people. They have embedded the Ukrainian force with facilitators, whether you want to call them mercenaries or sheep-dipped, doesn't matter. They're not Ukrainian. And many of the combat forces are literally Polish army forces that have been redesignated as Ukrainian forces. There's some French combat units. We're talking about, company-sized units of Frenchmen that fight as a unit under the flag of Ukraine, but wearing the French arm patch. There's lots of Americans there. So this is it. This is the strategic reserve of Ukraine. And the idea that they would throw it away in a futile effort is absurd. The Ukrainians believe they can win. The Ukrainians believe they are winning. Now, I've spoken to Russians and I listened to Abdialadanov, and the Russians, of course, are of a different opinion. And I think the majority of the West shares the Russian opinion, meaning, wow, Ukraine, good job. Nice little temporary victory. But what happens when Russia starts to grind you down? but the goal here was to inflict political damage on Russia, to embarrass Vladimir Putin. To an extent, that succeeded. But you have to understand that Putin is is untouchable in this regard. He just won an election. He has 80% support of the population. So the idea you're doing political damage to Putin is absurd. You're actually just strengthening him, because the Russian people are programmed to rally around their leader, and now all of Russia is rallying around this cause. One of the goals was to divert Russian military resources away from the Donbass, from Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhia fronts. Nope, those forces have remained intact, and they continue to advance. People have forgotten that Russia's taking 5, 6, 10 kilometers worth of territory a day, and this inexorable advance across the Ukrainian plains of Donbass. Um, and if you think there's going to be a city of Lvov left over when this is done, think again. Lvov is the heart of Banderist ideology, and Russia has now said it's over, finished, до свидания. That's just my perception. But I have to tell you that this official, who is connected, he's in government, um, made it clear that Ukraine is going to learn what war is in the very near future. And he said it will send a shiver down the spine of everybody in the West. So, congratulations, NATO, you idiots. You invaded Russia, and you didn't think there was going to be a price to be paid.